In the past, governments have bought a lot of gold to back their currencies. So the U.S. got off the gold standard long ago, but other countries, what they do when to back their currency so that so it doesn't collapse, is they buy things like U.S. Treasuries, debt from other countries, as well as gold. And they say, okay, well, so here's the value backing this. That practice largely went away during the recession, the Great Recession. And so a lot of governments don't use gold to back their debt much anymore. But I am kind of hearing rumors that a lot of countries are looking at Bitcoin.
What is happening, Crypto Crew? We're getting straight into it. Our first update. What are we looking at from Bitcoin Magazine? Historic Bitcoin prices on this same day, the past 14 years. What is the pattern you notice? Green, green, red, red, green, green, red, red, green, green, red, red. Yeah, you note the highlights, but look at every pre-halving year. So the halving was 2012, 2016, 2020, and 2024. So the year before that, what were we at? 250. So you see the price did about a 5x from year to year. And then the next halving was 2016. So the year before that, you see the price over doubled. The next halving, 2020, 2019, the price almost tripled. So right now, where we are, 37,000. November of 2024, post halving, if the price does a double from here, you're looking at a $74,000 Bitcoin, new all-time highs by November of next year. Are you stacking? Have you been stacking? Taking a look at the Bitcoin price, what do we see? This is Bitcoin versus the US dollar on the weekly. And looking back to the left of the charts, we have a lot of confluence. We have a lot of traffic in this area. And this area we're talking about is really the 38,000 up to the $47,000 range with all this previous price action. Now, are we going to see a continuation to the upside? Looking at the VPVR, we see here, if we zoom into this price action, we are running into some resistance right here. There is a brief amount of resistance. Now, this doesn't mean this is going to hold, but if it does hold, we could see that retracement come back down and flip this previous resistance here, this major level of resistance down at that $30,000, $31,000 threshold, and flip that to support. Is that what we could see? Technically, looking at the RSI, we could come back down, cool off before we have a continuation, and you're still putting in a higher low with a potential higher high. So that's what we see here for the Bitcoin USD on the weekly. Taking a look at this, zooming in closer on the daily. What are we looking at? The 50 and 200 moving averages. We're going to take a closer look at this because what are we seeing? Now, this could be looked at in a multitude of different ways. Remember what we showed you. We showed you that we do see the 200 here and the 20 way up here. There's a ton of space between these two. They're extremely, extremely stretched out. Now, are we going to have a back test? Now, if we look back here and look back in the charts, where could this back test be? We see a major level of resistance that acted right here. And we had some fake outs right here. Then we had the breakout right here. Got extremely overextended. Now zooming back into the price action, it seems that we're seeing a bit of exhaustion. And there's a lot of confluence around this area right here. We can't hold above it. Around this 37,436 range. Right now, we're just sitting at it. We just keep hitting the door. We actually had a breakout here. This was a fake out. And then had a drop down. This is a bullish engulfing candle. And we still can't get back above this. So we're in this channel. This is the channel we want to pay attention to. It's all the way down to roughly this range, the 35.6 level, up to 37,443. If we have a breakout of this on the daily and a daily close that holds for more than one day, because you see we had a close up here, but then it was a fake out and came right back in, then we could see a continuation. So this could be doing one of two things, obviously, but we keep hitting the door. This could be just getting ready just to blast through this to the upside to see higher price action to the potential next level for Bitcoin. Or this could be some type of exhaustion because we continuously are trying to hit through this and hit through this. And what's going to happen is this 20 moving average, this is going to continue upwards, just how it is. And we're going to see some type of decision as we get closer to this. This is Wednesday, November 29th. By Wednesday of next week, we're going to make a decision. We're going to either see this have a continuation to the upside, and it could be violent, or we could have this come back down and back test and cool off. We could cool off down to the $35,000 range, or we could have that major cool off and make sure these moving averages come back. Because as we've told you before, moving averages, once they are very, very far apart, they want to come back together. And that's sort of how these play out. So what are we going to see? What can we anticipate? Right now, it seems that it is overextended. We need a cool off for a little bit. We're not telling you this is financial advice, but right now it seems extremely overbought. We could either trade sideways while this 200 slowly catches back up, or we could have this pullback or a continuation. It looks like we could be seeing exhaustion. Once again, not financial advice, but we do see that this macro level of upwards resistance is a key too. See, we did come up and got very close to this. We had a wick up to it. If we zoom into this price action, we actually had a wick close up to this. It's around that $38,000 threshold, but we've sort of been getting exhausted. And could we be getting ready to roll over? This is a triple top, and could we be seeing a rollover for us to cool off in the market? That could be what's in the cards. And looking at the total three is still traded in this channel. We could, and we're not getting this breakout yet, but that 20 is curling back up towards that 200, and we could be seeing a massive move to the upside, potentially by the end of the year or into Q1 of 2024. The Bitcoin hash rate, we showed you this in the previous video we made, has put in all-time highs. So this is the pre-halving year. So if we go back to the most recent pre-halving year in 2019 and see that we were putting in all-time highs as well back then. But look at the price action above. The price action is a lagging indicator of this hash rate. And we're putting in all-time highs all through 2019. But the price action didn't really catch steam really until sometime mid Q2 to Q3 of 2020 when we really started to take off. So this hash rate is showing you that it could be an indicator that we had a black swan here. So that did affect the price action most definitely. And that could have had the price action go even higher in this cycle if that never happened. That's one thing to pay attention to. But as you see, the price really didn't start taking off really and put in and break out of this channel until October of 2020, which all of 2019 we're putting in new highs with the hash rate. So that's almost 9 to 12 months leading this price action. So putting in new all-time highs 9 to 12 months from now, Q3 of 2024, to where we see new all-time highs and we break out of this channel. So keep this in mind. This is when the bull market really starts to ramp up and gear up, but all these cycles are slowly rhyming. And look at this here. This is the total 3 minus USDT divided by Bitcoin chart. Shout out to Benjamin Cohen. He's the one that sort of got the Bitcoin bros hip to this. But, as taking a look at this and doing our technical analysis, this is a bullish indication for altcoins. But look, it's still trading in this channel. We could come back down, have one more pullback before we get closer to that breakout apex range here. This could come back down to maybe the 30, 39, 40 range before getting closer to this area here where we could have this breakout and a continuation to the upside. Because right now we are still using that 20 moving average as resistance. We're still putting in lower lows and lower highs. This trend's your friend to the end, but the trend seems to want to be changing. Now Bitcoin pulls back, this could pull the whole alt market back and make this even more further extended from this 20 moving average. This is far, but we could get farther. Keep this in mind. And we actually could break down from this. There's no guarantee this is going to be a rounding continuation to the upside. You want to be patient. Are we going to use this macro support line all the way down to this 25 range, which would be the optimal entry point to diversify into alts? We'll pay attention to this as time progresses. Bitcoin dominance, same story. Has just been going up and to the right. Zooming in, what do we see? We see that the trends your friend is still holding. This upwards trend line has been respected, and right now Bitcoin is just at a stalemate. The major level of resistance to pay attention to is the 54% range. We could trade sideways over the next week or two, but when we run into this resistance, what are we going to have? We're going to have a bump up to the upside, and are we going to break past this 54 range to ultimately maybe put the peak out? Are we going to peak out, or are we just going to have a continuation? Note, we're putting in higher highs and higher lows as far as this RSI goes, along with the dominance. So the dominance looks very strong. And then, what are we seeing from Trader J? Not everyone will understand this chart. So we are saying that this could be somewhere around the mid-cycle peak. And he's calling for downwards price action, some more downwards price action, all the way down to like the $20,000 threshold. We don't know if we're going to see this low. We're not disagreeing, but this could end up being a huge double bottom pattern that's forming while putting in a higher low. So if we look at the Bitcoin chart and we zoom out, what he's saying, let's get rid of this VPVR so we can actually see the price action. And what he's saying is if this price action comes up and comes back down, it could put in a huge double bottom pattern while going down to around the $20,000 threshold, and then Bitcoin would then blast up and be off to the races. So if this did play out in this fashion, looking at our Elliott waves, we would see something like this. We'd have one. If we did have this play out, how bullish are we going to get, and how fast is it going to go up that high? We could hit our head, reject, and then come in and put a fifth leg up to maybe 200,000. But this is going into like 2027. That would be something that Bitcoin's never did. This could be looking something like this. This could get very parabolic. This could be an ETF runs to the upside. Then we have this higher high before we go into an ABC correction into a bear market. But if we do have this when Trader J is on point, that's how that price action would look. Crypto Fear and Greed Index is now very greedy. And looking at the Bitcoin price chart once again on the monthly, we see we've been in the depths and we've been just stair-stepping our way up. But as you see, we are in this upwards channel. Every time we get towards this upwards resistance, we come back down and retest the lower level, then have a bounce up. Come back down, retest this lower level. So if we do that, this could be around that lower $30,000, between $30,000 and $35,000 range, before we have a continuation to the upside. This would be hand in hand and be a cool off and a continuation to the upside all in all. So is this what we're going to see? Is Bitcoin going to break out of this, or are we going to have a cool down and retest down to the lower $30,000 range? You be the judge. And with that, I'm Sean with the Bitcoin Bros. You guys like this content, go ahead and smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and show us some love. We appreciate the support. With that, that's all I have for you today, and I'm out.